Okay, so this is the second part of my preliminary testing for the Red5 Audio RV4, which is there. And I've got my Movo filter on it because I'm outdoors and stuff, and I'm holding it quite close as well. So it definitely will need some form of wind protection on it. Now, the only thing is, I've got to actually go through a number of tests with this mic now, because I've brought out 2 more cameras to test it with as well. Because obviously with it being self-powered, it's going to lend itself hopefully really well to me Zcam E1, which only has a line in, not a mic or any kind of powering system on the camera. So what it is, I've actually come out on what must be the coldest day of the year, and unfortunately, although I've got a jacket on, I've only got a t-shirt on underneath because I didn't realise what the weather was like before I come out. And I'm actually coming out to do a test recording for a new lavalier microphone that I'm putting together. So I've just had a new Primo capsule sent through from Mic Booster, and basically I'm just going to modify one of the Mic Booster clippy lavaliers with this new Primo cardioid capsule. So I thought, yeah, well, I'll put a t-shirt on so I can clip the lav to it. And like a tool, it's friggin' freezing. So yeah, all I've got underneath this jacket is a t-shirt, so I'm gonna have to try and hurry this up and get it out the way. Okay, so yeah, right now I'm obviously handheld with the mic and such, so I'll do a little bit of a cardioid test with this as well, or test for its pattern. So that's effectively pointing up straight at me and whatnot. There is a slight breeze as well. It's not a mad wind or nothing, but it's enough of a breeze to otherwise interfere with a sensitive, like, you know, or not even a sensitive, but, you know, generally cardioid capsules will pick this kind of stuff up anyway. So this should hopefully give me a good idea. And plus also, I'm quite close to it as well, and I'm hoping that this particular filter is blocking plosives and such. Like I'd mentioned on the indoor test as well, any kind of microphone held this close, especially a cardioid, is going to be more subject to plosives and such. I mean, this particular microphone happens to be very sensitive though, after listening back to the indoor stuff. So hopefully this filter, which is one of the 2 smaller Movos that I've got, hopefully is doing its job properly. Yeah, so anyway, right now this is just plugged straight into the camera. I'm handheld, as in like a reporter type position. I mean, this wouldn't be good for doing probably interviews, because with it being a cardioid, you know, you'd have to be passing it to and fro and all the rest of it. But if it's a straight piece to camera where you're just looking at camera and you're holding the mic, cardioid is perfect for that. In fact, cardioid is quite possibly what you would want to use, either that or a super. Anyways, yeah, so with regard to it going off, if you used it in an interview scenario and having to pass the mic, I will test for its cardioid response. So basically I'm just going straight directly into the 90 degrees here. So that's 90 degrees into the side, and then there's 180 degrees off axis now. So hopefully the off axis will be, I'm hoping that the off axis is a lot. Now the 90 degree angle there, or the 90 degree axis, I won't be too bent out of shape if that's still picking up a bit, only because most of the scenarios that I would envisage my use for this particular microphone would require a slightly wide cardioid pickup anyway, but definitely I'd need the full rejection from the back. Okay, so that'll do for the handheld variant. Now I'm going to do a couple of other variations because I've got some interesting stuff to try with it. So yeah, and my poor little hands are getting really cold. I've been out for like 2 seconds and I'm freezing. Okay, so now for another position with the microphone. Okay, so I've now got the microphone mounted to the top of the camera. It's a full arm's length away. Because like I always say in any of the mic videos and stuff that I do, you know, even with shotguns, you know, you don't hold them like miles away from your subject and stuff. So the position that it's at now is a good position for like arm's length distance vlogging and such. Although this could just be like a pretty tight mid shot for an interview or something. So if you went out with a small rig and you're trying to capture like interview stuff or doc stuff, this could be perfect for that. Again, still got to hear what it's like, you know, when I get back. And just like make all my appraisals off these prelims as to whether or not it will suit this purpose. Although, you know, I've got a really good feeling that it's going to be really good for a lot of the things that I'm going to suggest it be used for, because I think it could be a very versatile microphone. Okay, now the only other thing here is I'm just looking at the camera. The problem is, because it's now top mounted, in fact before I actually had the focus locked off. So what I'm trying to do, usually obviously I'd be on the other side of the camera if I was going to be recording an interview or doing certain pieces with other people. So I'd obviously be in full manual control. The only thing is, because of like what I'm doing here and I'm in front and all the rest of it, usually I would leave it to fully automatic. So what I've done here, I've kind of dialed in an exposure and stuff. So I've set the iris manually and whatnot, and the reason why I've done that is because leaving the camera to do it, with it being frosty and so white and stuff, it'll just close down the iris crazy, and then you wouldn't be able to see the person you're filming, or I wouldn't be able to see myself. Yeah, I'm just talking nonsense here because I'm giving it a really good try for dialogue in this position. But basically, yeah, what I've done, I just locked off the focus myself on this, so I kind of went at full arm's length and I was trying to gauge focus and stuff, so hopefully it is in. Exposure-wise, it might be a bit blown in the sky and stuff, but I'm exposing for the front where I am anyway. Let's see, and yeah, the reason why I'd have to lock focus on this as well and not let it go manual is because I can't allow the servo to start like messing around, because a microphone, cardioid or not, that close to the camera's barrel is definitely going to pick up the servo. In fact, while I'm doing this, I'm just going to do another test. So full arm's length away again, so that's me 90 degrees to the side there, so 90 degrees off axis. And same distance again from the rear as what it was from the front. I'm using a full arm's length here to kind of determine the distance. Same thing here, so the other 90-degree axis and such and whatnot. Not that it should bobble about between 90-degree axes, because it should be spherically 90 degrees perfect anyway. Or not perfect, but the same all the way through. Okay, so I think that's enough for it being on top of the camera to give me a good idea how that is. Now some of the more interesting things now, because what I'm going to do is try it underslung on this pistol grip system with an E1 on the top. In fact, I might put it top mounted on the E1, but then I've got a GoPro, so I'm going to undersling it off the pistol grip for the GoPro. But also, I think what I'll do, I've brought out my radio system as well for testing this lavalier, because interestingly, and I'll get into this once it goes in, but because this microphone is an electret, it's obviously a condenser, but it's an electret condenser. I've got a feeling it might power off 5 volts. Either it will, or I'll just make a complete fool of myself because it doesn't. Anyway, now to the next configuration. Okay, so what it is now, I've got it on my E1 top mounted. I've got my other camera running here, so hopefully we can see the setup. The other camera may not focus properly and stuff. It's having serious issues because it's so white and stuff. Anyway, so this is like a normal vlogging distance with the E1. Now what's important here as well to note with the E1 is it has a line input. So it doesn't have a mic input, so no gain structuring, and also even though it's a line input, it has no kind of like no leveling or attenuation on the line input either. So the only way you can use a microphone with the E1 is if you preamp the microphone or prior preamp it before it goes in and power and such, or if the microphone is self-powered and has enough level coming out the back end to drive the line input. I mean, no doubt, no matter what I plug into the E1, it always ends up being the case that I have to gain in post anyway. And as I did with the indoor test, what I'll do, I'll pick whichever is going to be the quietest recording out of all of these. I'll gain it up and limit it a touch, and then re-sum it just to get a bit more energy out of the recording. In fact, let me walk around a little bit with this one because I'm absolutely freezing. Yeah, so the thing is, there's a lot of E1 owners out there. It's not a mega popular camera, and it didn't do too well because there was a lot of firmware issues when it got released, and it got a lot of bad press and such. But I've already done a couple of videos where other E1 owners have got in touch with me, because what it was, I built a little like modular, like electric cardioid self-powered system, which consisted of just using 2 Primo capsules in a modular fashion. One was a cardioid, one was an Omni, so it just meant I had like a couple of options to plug onto the E1. But the thing is, with something like that, you know, most people can't build things. I mean, I'm terrible at building stuff anyway because I'm crap at soldering, but I can build the things and make them work. So I've made a couple of mics that work with it. but a lot of people can't do that. So the idea is find a microphone that works with the E1, that's self-powered and all the rest of it, and can drive its input. Now the thing with that, I've also got a Sennheiser like ME64 for my K6 system, and that's brilliant on the E1, but that's like 350 quid, you know what I mean? And it's one of them, you know, you can't be saying to people just for like a basic mic setup, go and spend 350 quid, because it's a bit too much. And that kind of money should only be spent if you're like, I don't know, professional, or you're making money out of what you're doing and such. Anyway, yeah, I think that's enough rabbiting on the E1, so hopefully this has actually recorded, because if it hasn't, yeah, what a waste of time. And I've been getting cold for no reason, and I've still got to do 2 more tests as well. Oh my god, and the coffee's wearing off. Right, okay, so I'm gonna give this one a miss now, and then go over onto the next configuration for the microphone. Okay, so I've now switched over to a GoPro 4. So as we can hopefully see from the other camera, that's the setup there. Let me see. Again, what it is, this other camera is just not focusing properly. It's just because it's a contrast-based focus system, and it's just not getting anything because of how bright everything is. Now the other thing as well, I'm not entirely sure what the picture was like on the E1, or what it's going to be like on the GoPro either. Because unfortunately, what I didn't do before I come out, I didn't set up. What I'd normally do, I would normally set up before I come out, like typically for the conditions of what it is outside. But like an idiot, I didn't do it, and it's freezing, and I can't get at the menu systems that easily without freezing my hands. So yeah, I'm just going to have to put up with what these were like. There's a fair chance I think these might end up being overexposed and the white balance being wrong. Anyway, yeah, so this is the GoPro 4. Now the interesting thing here with the GoPro 4 is, unlike the 5, 6 and 7, which require a stupid box to add onto them in order to get the microphone in, which obviously bulks up the size and kind of defeats the object, I think, of a small camera. The GoPro 4 just uses a passive converter, which goes from like 3.5 into its USB input. So it's just got a couple of lines on the USB channel, which are dedicated to mic in. So all I've done here is XLR onto a 3.5, which is normalized tip ring, just so I can go center on the input, because it is a stereo input on the GoPro 4. So hopefully this is recording okay, and it will be on both channels if it is recording. The other thing as well, because this microphone is so cheap, if this could all work out really well, again, hopefully all these multiple kind of scenarios and setups and configurations should show how versatile a cheap mic can be. And especially one that maybe people have never considered to be a dialogue microphone. Anyway, it looks like I'm running out of battery fast on this. This is the thing, I've come out and I've not prepped for anything, although it is only a prelim anyway, so that's not so bad. But yeah, the battery's all going down and all kinds of stuff. In fact, when I first plugged in the GoPro, the battery went straight away. So I just put the second battery in and it wasn't charged. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is get on to my 5th and final, is it the 5th part? Yeah, whatever. I'm getting on to the next part of the test, which for me is the interesting bit, which is to go wireless with the main camera. Okay, so what a crazy day for having battery problems. My GoPro ended up going in the end because I had to do a different thing. And then what I didn't realise as well, that the B cam thing that I did on that last take didn't work off my main camera, because it cut off as I was recording. I didn't see it because I wasn't concentrating on that camera, so there was no B cam on that one. This is only a prelim anyway, so I would never normally do a B cam. It was just because I was out with all the cameras, because I was doing various tests with another lav as well. So anyways, I'm now on the radio system. So this is a Rode Link. Now what it was, I'd kind of like surmised earlier on that the mic might have worked powered by this, because what it is, this sends out 5.5 volts. Now the reason why I'd surmised that was because this microphone, I think the spec said it was an electric condenser, so you know it doesn't run off 48 volts. So it's you know it's not electric. It's not externally biased and stuff. So it's permanently polarized, and you know an ECM would need a lot less power. Now what it is, I have another microphone similar to this, and what happens is, although it is phantom power that it requires, it'll take 5.5 volts and actually power from that. Unfortunately, this didn't, which it's not a bad thing by any by any stretch, because it's not meant to do that anyway. It's just that if it had done, if you were in a situation where maybe you'd run out of battery power in the mic itself, it could have possibly been powered by the transmitter. Unfortunately not, but that's not like a negative thing or nothing. That would have been a bonus if it would have been able to have done that. Unfortunately, the DC to DC converter on this, or down converter, obviously requires a much higher voltage to down convert to whatever it's using. Maybe it's using 9 volts for the capsule, I don't know. Anyways, so what I'm going to do is just blabber on a bit more. So I'll walk around a little bit, because this is a radio system, so why shouldn't I walk around with it? Now, this isn't like a range test or anything, but what I'm doing, I'm using a digital system. This is a Rode link. So what it does, on the receiver end, on the transmitter end, it's got a analog to digital converter on it. So what it does, it just processes the analog signal to digital internally inside the transmitter, and then it effectively just bit streams that across 2.4 gigahertz. Now you're going to get a lot of people who go, oh yeah, you don't use 2.4 gigahertz because there's tons of interference and you can't transmit for far and all the rest of it. Well, putting it bluntly, that's just a load of bollocks anyway. So I would rather use a digital system as opposed to an analog one, because it swings and roundabouts. They both got issues, but they both got great points. But this is the cheapest digital system or digital wireless system that I've come across. So it's probably good to try a mic like this, which is a cheap mic, with the cheapest digital wireless system I could use. Because it's likely that if anyone we're going to do stuff like this, they're not going to be using like a 600 quid wireless, 700 quid wireless system with a 35 pound mic, so I think this is a good match to try for this, because it's all like the budget end of each of these components, the microphone and the radio system and such. Now what it is, I've also found out that this microphone is not particularly loud on the output. It's either it's not loud on the output, or it's just not overly sensitive in the first place. And what I'm having to do here, which I wouldn't normally do with any other mic, I'm having to gain it by plus 10 dB at this end. The receiver doesn't have like padding. Sorry, it has padding, doesn't have gain, and so it'll attenuate at the other end. But obviously it doesn't need to do that. I'm having to gain this end. In fact, let me put this in my pocket. Okay, I'll just carry on walking a little bit. So yeah, between the indoor tests and these outdoor tests that I've done, what I'll do, I'll kind of sit off, have a listen to the results of it all, and kind of work out, what kind of video to do. I mean, I will only be doing the exact same thing I've done in the prelims, because that's all I do. I normally do 2 or 3 prelims of anything that I'm ever going to do on YouTube. And it's just for me to get a good, a good working understanding of how things are and stuff. Because I don't want to sound all negative about the way people go about stuff, but there's a lot of people on YouTube, and you just know they've picked something up, plugged it straight in, and didn't even bother testing it before they do a so-called review. And the thing is, I've been working in audio for over 30 years. And I've done tons and tons of studio work and produced loads of music and stuff like that. And the thing is, as a producer and a mix engineer and somebody who records and all the rest of it, you have to test things properly. There's no good somebody turn around and say, yeah, this mic's brilliant. It's a U87, it's great on vocals. Well, it may not suit a certain vocal, do you know what I mean? But basically, yeah, so in a nutshell, all these prelims that I do is mostly me just walking around talking absolute nonsense to myself, in order to get a very good feel for how something does or doesn't respond in certain things. So basically, if I do a proper YouTube video for this, for my main channel and stuff, it'll end up being just like segments of what I've already done, but more condensed, without me rabbiting too much and getting dead boring all the time. And on that point about being boring, I'll finish this test now, because it's just gone on too long, and I still have to do another test for a bleeding lavalier that I didn't do before because the battery ran out. Okay, yeah, so at some point I'll probably open this up live, because if it ends up being like a decent kind of interesting enough test for geeky tools like me who don't mind listening to like 20 minutes of somebody rabbiting on about nothing, testing things, then I'll open it up if it proves that it's been like something interesting. Now, if that is the case, if anyone does come across this, it'll be on my test channel, and hopefully you know, I will have done a full video of this, and if that is the case, it'll be on my main channel, which is youtube.com/David Harry. But the descriptions of this video will have a link to any final videos that I would have done with this microphone, or if indeed there's some other interesting stuff by Red5 Audio. And they have some very interesting looking studio condensers as well, so I may have a little look at some of that stuff, because I need to do some more definitive like price levels for certain types of like dialogue indoor microphones for like vlogging or YouTube videos and podcasting and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll have a little look at more of their stuff. Anyway, yeah, I just can't shut up once I start, and I had another coffee as well when I went in, which is not a good idea. So anyways, yeah, with all that said, I'm going to get off now. So yeah, thank you very much for anyone who's watched this video. Take care and goodbye now.